Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Anyway, we have a clock to work on, and it's under my desk. It's been there forever. In some of my later videos, you'll even hear when I accidentally bumped it and it'd start to tick and then start gonging again. Anyway, it's about time we took this thing out. Let's take a look at it and see what I have here. So here we have it, a taped up clock. Now this one here, I took out of the box, but I haven't done anything with it, except set it underneath my table. And so the reason why they put tape on the glass is to help stop it from vibrating and then possibly break it in during shipping or whatever. So what's nice here, there's the pendulum. It's almost a shame they taped it, but then again, I'd rather have them tape it like they have it here onto the door compared to letting it bang around inside the box and getting stuck in the movement, that kind of stuff. So the New England Clock Company, these pendulums are very lightweight, and if you didn't have a pendulum, I would think that you can go onto a site that sells clock parts and buy a battery-powered pendulum, or not a battery-powered, a pendulum from a battery movement, and you'll see it's got this line in there. You might have to take a saw and cut the line in the pendulum to create the same thing. And like I say, this is really, really light. If you needed a little bit more weight to get either to get the swing a little bit more, I guess we'll say, as it ticks, to get the speed right on the clock, you could glue a nickel on the back of there with the hot glue gun. Anyway, this clock, I don't know, well, it must run because it used to run underneath my desk and then it'd start gonging during my video. And so we're going to still open this up and at least blow it out and oil the movement. And there's a chance it doesn't need blown out, but if it does, Walmart sells this. A lot of people sell this. It's a electronic duster. So in other words, what this does is gets your potato chips and Doritos out of your keyboard. Anyway, let me get the hands off. We're going to unscrew the face. There's 4 screws there, and it should pop right out. So I forgot to mention, inside here, I'll show it to you, but the clock number for this one is a 214, and then they have a C, it looks like, in there. But anyway, we got these 4 screws out. The whole movement comes out. Yes, those got caught on the side. Anyway, we're going to unscrew it from here. And I never understood why there's a nail here, unless there used to be brand new a rubber band that came down and held these up to keep them from hitting this and striking. While we have this out, this does have a slip clutch, so you can adjust the pendulum as needed, and it'll go further with a little bit past the tension. Either way, so that way once you set this clock into place, you can get it to tick almost in any almost in any angle, I guess is the way we'll put it. Let me take this minute hand, set it up on here. So, like I said, I'm going to take it off this board, the 4 screws there, so I can oil the back and the front. There's no reason to oil just the back, because the front needs to oil just as much, because what you're doing is if the oil is starting to gum up, you're refreshing it, and the reason why it's gumming up is it's starting to dry out or drying out with dust, and that's why you need to oil both sides of it if you're going to oil them. Here inside the case, it tells about the clock, which it does say it's an 8-day spring wound pendulum clock, and right there's the number of it, that if the people don't try ripping them off, or sometimes they'll take this board and turn it around so they don't see it. But in my opinion, this here piece of paper is part of the decoration of the clock while you're watching the pendulum swing back and forth. Like I say, this is a very clean movement. I don't think it's ever been re-oiled or anything, because it's not all sloppy all over it. It's nice and shiny. And so what we're going to do is each one of these pivots, we're going to also oil them and then make sure we don't have excess oil. Now go ahead and screw it back on the board and make sure our hammers are still right with the rods here. So as you can see, this clock wasn't loved anymore and got thrown around. The finish is really scratched, not only there but on a few other places. And I'm going to go ahead and use scratch guard or scratch cover on here first and let it dry. And then I'll probably use the Howard feed and wax for the whole case. But let's first check out how well that scratch cover does for us. There's a pretty deep gouge there. Get the stain in there. Doesn't look bad at all. These originally were from the Session Company, and they sold out, possibly because they went bankrupt or something, and eventually formed the new name the New England Clock Company. So I'm not sure why this clock became unloved, because like I say, it still ran. It's just that it got some torturing done to it. Torturing that I don't think it deserved, but you say, look how bad that is. Really dug in the case. Obviously the finish isn't much there. The wood's been smashed in, and this here just kind of makes it disappear. So I guess we can say this is the cure for a 10-foot rule. If you're standing 10 feet away from this clock, you'll never notice what real damages are there. Because you're doing so much on the clock with this stuff, it doesn't hurt to coat everything. So that way, let's say it has an even color on it. So I haven't waxed it yet because I need to let, or I want to let the scratch guard dry. So that way it definitely sticks in where the finish was scratched up. And realistically, if I wanted to, I can go ahead and just wax it now and get it over with, and it wouldn't hurt a darn thing, but I'd just soon let it set. The only thing we had to do to it is went ahead and oiled the movement. The movement still ran, but we went ahead and oiled it anyway because we wanted to freshen the oil so it's not drying out and starting to turn gummy. And such a beautiful clock, nice display. Yes, it's got the, I call it the country look to the clock. Still, it stands out very nicely, easy to read. It's not a what I consider a small clock, but it's not an overly large clock. It's a mantle clock or a table clock. Take your pick what you want to do with it. Anyway, like I say, absolutely beautiful. This here clock is louder now that it's in the box. And so I hope you appreciate this video, and just remember, if your clock's still running, oil it before it stops, because according to the book, if your clock stops, that means the oil got so thick that it's all gummed up, and if there's any dust in there, that got wrapped around the pivots, and they say you should dismantle the movement altogether, clean it properly, and give it a fresh start. and that's a headache for a lot of people. So it's best remove the movement, oil both sides of it, and don't get too carried away with the oil. It don't need a ton, just a little bit. Put it back in, and it should be good, at least this clock, for another 5 to 7 years, maybe even 10. But I wouldn't go past 7 because, like I say, you don't want the oil to dry out. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe because it helps the channel. And until next time, God bless.